Okay, 2016. So now Trump's in the mix on the Republican side. So like, what was that? What was that about? Because I don't think it was a very smooth, introduction into the Republican
Man,
Party for Trump, especially in 2015, 2016, right?
right. So I talk about CPAC. The shift from 2015 to 2016, just in the general, I hate to use the term, but the vibes
Yeah.
of the conference was stark. It was such a difference. Like 2015, like you've got everyone speaking, like it's exciting. 2016, like the writing's on the wall. Like it's the MAGA is taking over, the alt-right is
Interesting.
taking over.
Yeah.
And it was just a very, very different dynamic.
Okay.
So I was this was when I was interning with them that summer. This was before Trump got the nomination. And so there really was a lot of discourse in the conservative world of the MAGAs versus the never Trumpers. And Charlie himself was a never Trumper
Is
at the
that right?
time.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and a lot of people in Turning Point were because we like really I don't know, like I think a lot of the people that were involved saw the discourse and the language he was using and a lot of the policies that he was promoting, and it was just this was not the conservative party, the conservative ideology that we believed in.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
it was something that like lock her up and build the wall. Like these are threats and they're
Yeah, yeah,
intimidations. And
yeah.
that was
Interesting.
just it was not it was there definitely was a divide, but there were people that signed on pretty early because I think they not necessarily believed in what Trump was saying and what he had to say, but they saw that he was a strong man and they saw that he was going to rise to power and they were going to rise with him. So
Yeah.
I think a
Okay.
lot of the early adopters of Trump are people that either didn't really have principles to begin with or were opportunists or they shared these principles but hadn't been super vocal about it.
Okay, totally get.
Um
That's interesting. I never thought that may what Charlie and Turning Point's take was in 2016. It's funny. You look back at like JD Vance in even 2020. I mean, he
right.
was a never Trumper.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio was a never Trumper.
Yep.
Hell, probably 80% of this dude's current administration were people that said he was the worst thing on the earth. And now they're part of it. And Charlie in particular now is just such a cuck. Like he's just such a
He's bought, I mean, yeah, bought and
tool.
sold. Like
He's
he's
bought and sold
entrenched.
100 times over. It's interesting that in 2016 or 2015, you're saying that wasn't necessarily the case. I was actually expecting you to maybe say, and Charlie got on board with the Trump train. It sounds like he did not.
No, I don't quite remember who his candidate was at the time.
Okay.
I well, I don't remember. It
Probably Jeb Bush. It was
wasn't
probably.
Jeb. I don't think it was
Oh,
Jeb.
okay.
I
Interesting.
think it was either Rick Santorum or maybe not Ben Carson. But
Okay.
yeah,
But not
like
Trump.
not Trump. And
Okay. That's all we need to know.
I don't think that he was super outspoken about
Mm,
being a never Trump. I don't recall that.
okay. Okay.
Um so
And then
so
was
I
he going on to the college campuses and like debating people at that time? When did that start? Because that's how I discovered him. I discovered him through Instagram and other videos really during the COVID aspect where he was basically debating people in 2020 and all that. So did you stick with them from, let's say, 2016? I guess when did you have your epiphany and break from the conservative movement, and what caused that?
Yeah, man. So a lot of it did start during that transition we were talking about from 2015 through 2016, the rise of Trumpism on the right. I knew that that was something that I was at that point I was uncomfortable with. I hadn't really started to look at my political ideology under a microscope quite yet. But I knew that hate-filled rhetoric was not the what I wanted to align myself with.
I gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And so I started to really kind of wrestle with my beliefs at that time. For example, I wrote a like little op-ed thing for the website saying, basically condemning the alt-right and saying the alt-right is dangerous. Like, this is not conservatism. Like, this is
Right.
dangerous. And I thought that condemning neo-Nazis was reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that that is something we can all agree on, us decent people. But I got a fair amount of backlash from people online, and I actually got people coming into my Twitter, like, sending death threats to me. And
Oh my
so,
goodness.
because I was speaking out against, like, fascist alt-right movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And this
so
and this is 2016. Okay, holy mackerel.
this is back in 2016. And so that's when I started to really recognize that there is a very dangerous undercurrent in the conservative world that just doesn't gel with me. Like, I can't do that. I can't be a part of that. And so I started to kind of I started working full time in the fall of 2017 as the operations manager for their media and their website and stuff. And so I was really putting out a lot of content, managing their writers, editing a lot of their content. And at that point, I started to get kind of jaded because I also realized that if I'm skewing content to be uh, inflammatory and to be, uh, I don't know, designed to like scare
Yeah, to
people and
create a narrative, to create a narrative
exactly,
and
I was
create a
like, if I'm doing that, like, what other outlets are doing that? And that's when, like, the veneer kind of started to break for me with, like,
yeah,
Fox News and, like, CNN, and I'd
yeah.
be like, "Oh, wait, they have an agenda here too." So I'm
Were
like,
you being told to do that? Like, did your editor or your boss or whoever say, "Hey, write an article that talks about blah blah blah"? Like, did you feel like they were guiding you to that, or what caused your spidey senses to go off? Besides, I feel like you just didn't vibe with the vibe that they had. I get that, but was there anything that you felt was being sort of pushed top down?
yeah, I mean, there weren't, like, specific directions to be like, "We need to scare people and use scare
Okay, okay,
tactics." So it
okay,
wasn't, like, that
okay, okay,
nefarious,
okay, got it, got it, got it.
but Charlie did say, he's like, "We want this website to be the right's answer to, like, BuzzFeed and Vice."
Okay, okay, okay,
So it
okay,
was very much like, we need to have conservative skewed content that reaches young people.
got it. Okay,
So
got it,
that
got it.
was that was
Okay,
the that was the mandate there, is let's make content that appeals to young people, but is from a conservative perspective, that sheds a different opinion, a different light
okay,
on things, aka is biased right heavily.
okay, got it, got it. Okay, okay, totally get it. But it wasn't necessarily as gosh, probably as prescriptive as the way Fox and those guys operate. And Fox, MSNBC, CNN, I kind of think I lump those guys all together. They're two sides of the same coin, in my
Yeah.
opinion, especially
Yeah.
nowadays. Okay, all right. So you're getting disenchanted, but then you're mandated to kind of create this content that was taking you in a direction that you just internally felt comfortable with. Let me ask this, your family, like, were you able to share this with your parents, or I don't know if you have siblings or people that were, close to you, your inner circle? Were you like, "Hey, I'm not feeling this anymore"? How did that play out?
I mean, not really. Like, it
Mm,
was a very, very
yeah.
internal journey that I went on from 2017, 2018. 2017 is when I left the
Okay.
organization. I think it was the spring of 2017. But it wasn't really anything that I shared, like, with my family. Like, I had built my entire college experience and social group around conservatives and
Yeah.
Republicans. So when I couldn't question my political views because, number 1, I'd been so vocally conservative and had
Yeah.
been, like, not fully platformed by Turning Point, but to an extent had been platformed. Like, I was very concerned about my credibility
Okay,
to
I
just
see.
walk back
Got
on
it, got
everything
it.
I believed in because I was having to undo all of my beliefs.
I see what you're
And
saying.
then, on the other hand, where the culture that I come from and that a lot of people on the right come from is having your faith and your politics completely intertwined.
Okay, amazing. Let's talk about this.
Want the full truth? Watch the full Deep Shallow Dive interview next. And hit subscribe if you're done with narratives and ready to call a spade a spade.